So we've got Lex Divine, not Ryan. I shouldn't call you Ryan, or should I call you Lex now?
I mean, this is sort of a kayfabe breaking podcast, right? So
yeah. I mean, we're sitting next to each other on a couch, and in kayfabe, the most interaction we've ever had is him reading bullying tweets to me in front of a crowd.
Okay.
So we're not together and are not like living together in kayfabe. So.
Right, in the wrestling world. That's okay. So I'm supposed to be Italian, so and I'll have spaghetti tonight, but that's about the only thing about me that's actually Italian. Don't tell Monte from Monte and the Pharaoh. He gets so upset at that. For some reason, Monte from Monte and the Pharaoh thinks that like my pretending that I was Italian is like the most offensive thing that's ever happened in the history of wrestling. And us to.
So we have questions from fans, and I'm here to answer them. And I may blather on and on and on, but I will get to a point eventually with your help.
Like in my introductions, I will get to a point eventually. And here is the first point I'm going to get to, a question. Or actually, it's more of a statement / question. And it says, please ask Dutch. Dutch, do you know who up in New York is talking about you?
Yes. There's two answers to that, really.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, you say who, and they said nobody.
Fuck.
Are we good on sound? Yep. Are you okay to go?
Yeah. Growing up adopted, knowing I'm adopted, the one and only thing that I've always tried to do, make my mom and dad proud of me.
We had a friend, his son played hockey. He says maybe that would be a good sport for him to get, Mike to get into. Played them all, except goalie.
He said he was too big. Yeah, he covered the whole net.
He had 33-inch thighs. This was as an 8th grader. He had 19-inch calves. He had a size 16 and a half neck. It was just like a solid piece of granite.
I've known Mike, to be honest, really too fucking long. He hit you with them arms and it's like taking it to the body, shiver.
He got into the normal scrapes like all kids do.
He was a bully. And anytime he didn't get his way, he would try to, or he wouldn't try,
He'd bully you.
25, 26 years old, man, I was, on top of the world. I was like, oh my God, I'm wrestling, for the WWF. They decided they wanted to give me a character, half man, half beast, and they wanted to put this big giant bullhead on me. Vince probably spent $100,000 on this fucking bullhead that I only wore like 5-6 times. I grabbed Vince by the arms and I'm talking to him through the mouth of this bullhead, and I said, Vince, I got this. I said, don't worry about it. I had a good friend of mine die in the ring in my arms in Bremen, Germany in 1993, Larry Cameron. He had a heart attack in the middle of the ring, and I watched this guy of black color turn to an ash gray. I bought a ring and fixed it up and opened up my company. Had a few shows, and then that's when I found out that C6 was touching my spinal cord, and my career was over. For those of you who don't know what CTE syndrome is, it's a chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which stands for one too many concussions.
All right, welcome back to Long Island and the world's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, straight out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island, with my super producer, Abe. How are you?
I'm doing good, brother.
And we have a very special beginning with the, not exit of Jimmy, but the Jimmy starting a new life, getting himself set up. I made a phone call, and I asked a very good friend to say, hey, you know what I need? I need some eye candy for Monte and the Pharaoh. Danielle Petro, I like to call you Petro. But Miss Petro, thank you for becoming the new co-host of the world's #1 pro wrestler broadcast.
Honestly, it is amazing. I'm happy to be here, honestly.
And we're happy to have you. We are happy to have you. Listen, I know you a little better than some, and I thought it would be a good opportunity for the people that just know you for, you know, your social media or your relationship with Matt Riddle, that maybe you tell people a little bit about yourself so they kind of could know the true Daniela.
Don't you hate when you live in someone's like horrible shadow? Like that's really how only anyone's ever known my name is because of Matt Riddle. It's like the worst shadow to follow in. I am my own son. Like no, so yes, that's how my name has been Googleable now. I am now Googleable, minus my mugshots. I am Daniela, ex-girlfriend of WWE, once used to be a good superstar, Matt Riddle. A single mom, raising my boys. I live in amazing Tampa, Florida. I own my own concierge cleaning business, but for shits and giggles on the side, I like to be a TikTok influencer, Instagram influencer, as everyone likes to call me. So, but now part of the family of Monte and the Pharaoh.
That's it, baby. That's it. Wait, I can't let you pass over your TikTok videos and your Instagram videos, because those, every time I see them, I go, what are those, professionally done? Like, how are you pulling those off?
You know what? Ever since me and Matt broke up, I've definitely taken a halt on the dating life and the social scene. And I've always been very creative. I will give myself that, what credit is due, and thank God I'm passing along to my children. But I get bored. And I'm like, I see like these 16-year-olds, and I'm like, I think better stuff than that. Watch.
How long does it take you to make those videos, though? I mean, I'm serious. When I look at them, I'm like, what has she got, a cameraman in her bedroom? I mean, like, how long does it take you to make those?
To make the actual video,
yeah,
probably like 5-10 minutes. But the editing, that's where the real art and technique is. The editing could take me an hour to 2 hours, depending on like how many like special effects I want to add to it. If I'm doing a transition into a different look. So like the editing, just getting it like right on the key and like all types of stuff. That definitely is, that's the process right there.
Well, I got to tell you, I got to start learning how to make videos like that. I'm going to have to start practicing. I want to give you a little bit of
My 16-year-old taught me. They're obsessed with TikTok and YouTubers. They taught me how to do it.
I don't have a 16-year-old. And my partner couldn't
borrow
even turn on a computer.
Take them.
Not out of these. It ain't happening anymore. I'm way past that time. I'm shooting blanks, my friend. Trust me.
Oh no. Men have no expiration date. It's only us women. We're like, no,
I don't know
we
about that. Want to introduce you to the family that joins us every 30, Daniela. ESO Creative.
Hello, fam.
Benny Scala, Roy Batiste, Jason Morning, Phil DeCesare. We got here Steve Kotenberg. You like that? You like that, Phil DeCesare?
I like that name, DeCesare. Daniela DeCesare.
I got to tell you, dude, the dude's built like a brick shithouse too. He's in good shape.
I gotta go for. I want the dorky, nerdy ones that literally like I can't go that route again. I don't want you fit. I don't want it anymore.
We're going dorky and nerdy.
The humble guys.
Humble.
I need the humble guys. The nice. I'm giving the nice guys a chance now.
Steve Kotenberg, who I was in the military with, honor sir. R.J. Hudson, Matthew Holland. Might have to douche you to Matthew Holland. He's a bit crazy. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, no, he's worse. Trust me, you can't get much worse than Matthew. Stingers 10. Going down the list. The First Lady, Miss Maria Davis. Mitch Seinfeld. Mitch Seinfeld is a very famous pitchman who, Home Shoppers Network.
Any relation to Jerry?
No, unfortunately not. But they might have the same amount of money, though, Daniela. No, don't shake your head like that. They may have the same amount of money. J. Will Luce is here. Who else we got here? I think that's about it as we're piling in. And we got your first. We're starting you off fresh. We're going to have an interview with author D.R. Filer after the commercial break, so I'm excited for that. DR's written some many books that either have to do with sci-fi and pro wrestling and some other stuff, so we're going to get into that. First subject, Daniela. Patriot fan dies after apparent medical event during Miami Dolphin game. New England Patriots fan died after suffering an apparent medical event after attending Sunday night's game. Dale Mooney, 53, of New Hampshire, died Sunday in the hospital after he was punched by a Dolphins fan. What are your thoughts about that?
I feel like Florida can't just not be involved with something. Is it just me? No. I feel like we always have a hand to play in some type of hey, guess what? Brady's old team, we punched a guy as a fan. He's dead. Oh my God.
Bam.
I feel like it's literally it only happens in Florida.
Yeah, what is the deal with that?
The guy chewed up the ear and stuff, or the face was the first thing of that drug thing was a Floridian. I feel like we're the first of everything.
And it's never good stuff either. It's always something
no,
really
it's literally
bad.
the batshit crazy stuff. Never have I ever. We're always the first to we set the movement for the most ridiculous, asinine, really not morally good things, and then it's just it just goes downhill for every other state.
What do you think a guy thinks? It's hey, I went to the football game, got in a fight over a bunch of millionaires that could give a shit about me. I punch another guy in the face, and now I'm going to go to jail for the rest of my life. Do you think that's a day you want to get back?
Is he going to get... That's a question, though. Is he going to get, what is it, manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter? What is it? What's the charge?
I would have to think it would have to be second-degree murder, right? Or it can't be involuntary.
Second degree is it wasn't intended to go the murder route, but it happened.
Right, so punching a guy in the face and he died would be, hey, I didn't mean to kill you. I just wanted to punch you.
Damn. Kind of up. Don't they have those I know they have the slapping shit for guys that slap the competitions or that. No, it's not even a competition. It's actually a sport now, right? Can you imagine they have a punching competition? That man's killing everybody. It's
Well, I just think about that particular day. They both get up in the morning, take a shower, brush their teeth, do whatever else they have to do in the bathroom, put on their stupid-ass uniforms, run to go play, have a few beers, and one guy's dead, the other guy's going to life for murder. The day that we want to take back.
As a Dolphins fan, that's even worse. You are everyone's bitch now. Even Floridians, we're nah, it's either it's Dolphins or Buccaneers all the way. Buccaneers. You're a Dolphins fan and murder.
So it would have been okay if he was a Buffalo Bills fan?
You know what? He would have got some street cred if he was a Tennessee Titans fan on some real shit. Like,
I got you. Wow. What if they were a Jet fan?
No comment.
That's right. That's right. You know what? You hit it right. You don't need to say anything more at all.
I have a lot to say usually, but this is where I'm going to keep quiet.
Daniela, I want to recognize back in the day when we first started this show, we ended up getting in a feud with this other podcast, which is called Boston Wrestling. It went on. We used to call it the Thursday Night Wars, and it drew a lot of attention. But unfortunately, the host of the other show passed away about a year ago. So today was his birthday, so I want to at least say happy birthday to Mr. Dan Marotti in heaven. Would you like to share any thoughts on Dan Marotti?
I apologize. I don't know who that is.
I'm not asking that. I didn't ask you if you know him. I just wanted to see if you wanted to give him a little happy birthday cheers in heaven.
No. Listen, Thursday, I raised my glass to probably, if you two were competing, he must have been a tough competition.
He was. And you know what? Rest in peace, Dan Marotti. So also recently, I need you to weigh in on this because you know how much I respect your opinion. Another podcast, this kid in England, he was having a show, the best and most hated wrestling podcast in the world. And, you know, we came up on the list.
That's an oxymoron, though. The best and the worst?
Like, the best and the hated. So I guess 2 separate lists. How's that?
Oh, okay. That? It was a list.
All right.
List. Okay.
So we came up on the loved list, which is really nice. But there's a host on there, you know, one of your favorite people. He's a wrestler, too. His name is Dutch Mantel, and Dutch isn't a fan of ours. In fact, there's a picture of, you could see Dutch there. We did a rant on Dutch a couple of weeks ago, and we were getting a little heat over the internet. But I guess the question to you is this. Do you mind men with like really hairy backs or stupid mustaches like I'm showing you right now? Because that's what he actually looks like.
It depends. Because I do feel like there's an art to this mustache game. And I'm not for facial hair. And my children's father, he didn't have back hair, but I'm going to be like full disclosure here. He would have like this patch above his butt that really drives me insane.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I think if you really, really liked, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I got to be.
How would you feel if like that's like saying like if I went all natural.
Yeah.
Just let the hair grow wherever it grows.
Wouldn't be a good idea.
It wouldn't be a good idea. So for me, I mean, if you're gonna have it, maintain it. I like when they do like those like.
Oh, you do like the curly mustache.
Because in Tampa, we have so many bartenders that have like that little prohibition, like hipster look. It's like a thing around here that like I do like. They really put some like real hard effort into it. Like they, I don't know. Like it's a craft, and I can appreciate it.
It's almost like those.
Here, though,
it's almost like those videos you make, like crafty, like a mustache.
Yeah, yes. It's crafty. But the back hair though, I don't know. It depends. How long is it? Is it thick? Do I feel like I'm running my hands through someone's hair from grabbing it? Like I don't know. There's a lot to it.
I have to say,
it's an open-ended question. Like there's more levels to it.
I might be a little disappointed right now. I got to be honest. I'm a little shocked. How's that?
Why?
I just don't get the hair and the mustache. I just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. I mean, I would think you'd be more into this look. He has a co-host, and his co-host looks like he's about 14 years old. He's from England, and he's got that English voice.
For an accent. I ain't knock it.
What's that?
I personally, I don't know if it's just American women. You could literally be the most repulsive man But as soon as you hear like that Australian accent or that UK accent, it's like,
wow,
that's a panty dropper.
Well,
It
I guess
is.
I'm going to have to break out my English accent. Hello, Daniela. How are you?
Today, we're not seeing the python.
Hi, my laddie. Welcome to the Monte and the Pharaoh podcast.
No, we gotta understand though. It's just so foreign that he's so sexy. Which is, I don't know.
What kind of wine are you drinking there, laddie?
I am a cab drinker, and I'm not gonna lie. Before we got on, half the bottle is gone.
That's what I'm talking about. I got to start drinking in studio. I was for a little while, but, you know.
But your shows are on Thursday, so you know it's Thursday, right?
Yeah, it does. You're right. Next show, I'll be drinking with you because no one should ever drink alone. Go ahead.
We should do like a shot for some spike, some little like crazy news or something.
You know what what I think we're gonna do? You know what? We'll plan it out, but maybe we'll have like questions, and if you get them wrong, you have to take a shot. You get it right, I have to take a shot. What do you think?
I'm about it. I'm about it. I'm in.
WWE had their releases today, but unfortunately, your ex didn't make the list. Thoughts?
Whose dick is he sucking?
Well,
I'm sorry. I have gotten into multiple, we'll say, tiffs with past exes, lovers, whatever. And the one thing that has always saved my ass when I'm like about to be dumped or something is, so this man, he's doing something. Or he has something on someone, because how does he literally, I heard this news today, and I don't, you know how your phone listens to you, went to go search something from Google, and of course that's like really, oh my, how is, like, he has a saving grace. There is a guardian angel out there, and I don't know who it is, but it's just like someone posted, he teaches a taekwondo class. Teaches a taekwondo class because he specializes in taekwondo. He taught class yesterday.
Wow.
Man wasn't even on Raw.
Wow.
MIA. But he taught taekwondo. And if, like, supposedly that who was that degenerate of a guy that's like besties with the bestie? He was like, oh, straight from the horse's mouth, Matt Riddle has an ear infection and bronchitis, so it's nothing to do with the airport. He's not going to be on Raw because of a severe ear infection and bronchitis. And then all of a sudden it released that he was going to come on the following Monday following that, which is like, you know what, we'll just let this kind of die down, let the dust settle. But then he's not there. Okay, maybe he's still sick. Rumors, he's still sick, whatever. And then he's teaching a taekwondo class. I don't know.
Well, he is a super bro, right?
He is. There is nothing super about that man. He is a walking train wreck, and I'm sad to say I dated him.
Well,
that's
we all
do our charity for the year.
That is it, right? It's good charity work. Maybe you could turn it in for taxes next year. One thing that's important, though, is Riddle's girlfriend, we all know her as Misha Montana, is showing off her baby bump recently. I've got to ask you this. Misha, I'm not going to call her a porn star. I'm just going to call her a porn actress, right?
Let's just say adult entertainer.
Adult entertainer. Thank you. That's why you're on. That's why you're the star of the show, because I really don't know how to pronounce stuff right. And now she's with Riddle, who, from what I understand, isn't really too involved with his kids. And correct me if I'm wrong. I may have that totally wrong. I mean, what kind of chance does this kid have, this Misha Montana, Matt Riddle love child?
in my opinion, and I can only go by my experience, he's a good check. That I'll give him. Support wise, while I was with him, definitely financially will take care of the children. I feel like it's a feeling of, I feel like being a dad today, but it's not really the parenting is an all around thing. You're a good guy, you're a bad guy, you're a disciplinary, you're fine, you're a teacher, you're everything. He is just, it's almost like a big brother. You remember Boys and Girls Club? I feel like he treats his kids like they're part of the Boys and Girls Club, and he's the one assigned to them. That's how I felt while with him. Like, it shouldn't be it should be, I'm going to go through hell and high waters to do what I have to do to spend time with my children.
Right.
Half the time I don't even like my kids, and I love spending time with them.
There you go.
But with her, I think this is one of those, I can't wait for this baby to be due. You're going to get a real reality check, lady. You thought you caught yourself a money bag. His career's going down the shitter. That's one. I'm not even going to be surprised if she did some porn pregnancy, but I'm not going to knock the adult entertainers because I actually have two friends who are actually more famous than her, have gotten more awards than her, and one of them actually just had a baby, and in my opinion, I thought was the modest way because I hadn't seen her in a couple months. I didn't even know she was pregnant until it was on a private story. And it was just like, because she kept her career and her personal life separate.
Yeah, but does she worry about what the future brings after you have this child and it starts to grow up and then, Google time, and then all of a sudden,
My thing
bam.
is, you messed up with the first couple of ones because she has one and he has three. Like, you think, listen, there's no restart button. Like, crack this one. Let's go get another dozen. Like, that's not how it goes.
We got a guy that killed someone at a football game, and then we got these two, and there ain't no restart button. Here we go.
Especially when their life path is like, it's not climbing up. It's going down. Your stocks are plummeting. So it's like, I could only imagine what your parenting skills are like.
Oh my God. Here's something interesting for everybody out there that I found out about you in our discussions, and I really want to go out there and give you tons of credit. You had a problem with your weight, which I had no clue, and you not only took it all off, but you've kept it off, which everybody knows, right? Everybody struggles their weight at some point, or at least most people do. And I've lost a lot of weight many times, but keeping it off
is easier for you guys to lose weight.
It is, but how did you maintain the fitness you're in?
Well, we'll thank Matt for the first off weight loss. Going through that shit, that's where it's sadly how I lost it, was a lot of anxiety, depression, and just going through understanding my traumas with him. But I will tell you, the one thing I tried to do, I've always felt like I ate healthy, but then I was realizing like the time of day I was eating it, and like that wasn't good. And then I work a very physically active job. My job, I am up and down, folding, everything. I'm a housewife 24/7, 7 days a week. So it's like, I'm not sitting at a desk. I don't need to go to a gym. It really is what you intake first, and then just being active. I've never stepped foot in a gym like that. Like, I maybe have gone with a girlfriend as a guest pass and be like, I'll walk the treadmill, sure. No, I'm not a gym person, but it is just really your intake. I cut out sodas, and if I wanted to cheat with sodas, because sodas also expand your stomach, so like I did the zero sugar, or I did the seltzer waters. That was a big thing. That is one of my biggest weaknesses is soda, and I love breads and pastas, and it was like, okay, instead of that full bowl, I'm going to go with protein pasta and I'm going to cut it down. And I also meal prep for a lot of my clients. So I'm constantly cooking all the time and I'm weighing out. And then I started picking up their good habits of what they're doing to keep themselves and staying in shape with their diet. So like I implemented that with my everyday lifestyle. So it's worked out with the job that I do because I'm very, very active. And then also just picking up healthy habits and then stopping the bad ones. I've never had a sweet tooth besides maybe some wine or like a mixed cocktail. That is not my thing, but I'm a big, like I used to do like the good bread and the nice spreads on it and easily half a loaf. And I honestly didn't even realize how big I was until because of the breakup or until like seeing myself on like the Undertaker's Hall of Fame. Those little glimpses of me, I'm like, holy shit, I was big. I've lost almost 100 pounds since last year. So it's just like, I was always very comfortable in my own skin, but I really didn't see myself in that light until it was kind of just thrown in my face. So now it's just been like just maintaining it and just kind of just staying very active. That's how I've been doing it. Cutting things in half, better eating.
Well, I gotta say, you should give yourself tons of kudos because what you did is not a small feat. So very, very impressive.
Why do you think I'm half naked on my Instagram a lot more?
By the way, the First Lady of Wrestling's asking, are you drinking Good Fucking Wine, one of our sponsors?
I am drinking Cab, and it was actually a Christmas gift bottle. It's a 2017, so at least it's aged good. And so
Good.
far, it's...
You're making me a bit jealous. Upcoming events.
I didn't have to do my water, too. I have my water, too.
Upcoming events, September 29th, Pia News arrives into studio. Pia News, the best friend of Mike Mantor, who we lost a few months back. We paid that tribute video. He'll be in at 6:30 p.m. and at 5:30 p.m. We've got Doink the Clown in studio. And then at 7:30, I believe, TL Hopper. And then at 8:30, Duke the Dumpster. And November 11th, Paul London is in studio. We'd like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monty and the Petro Show. Our own Jimmy Farrell, along with his partner Bart Griggs, plays the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings great songs as In My Dreams, This Life. Not far behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page. Hit that like and subscribe when you're over there. Please go to the Monte The Pharaoh YouTube page and hit that like and subscribe. Download Wisteria Hall music on Spotify, Apple Music, and Reverb Nation. If you don't know it, you are watching the world's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Petro. Catch us on the Monte The Pharaoh YouTube page, the Monte The Pharaoh Facebook Live page. Hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, the Twitch TV Monte The Pharaoh page. And if you're lucky enough to live in New York, catch us on channel 115 every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. or Saturday at 11:30 a.m. and channel 20 at Tuesday at channel 7. At 7 p.m. where over 150,000 viewers watch us weekly, where you'll catch our interview and our new co-host, Mr. D.R. Feeler, which will be coming on shortly, and that. You know, Daniela, there's a network out there. It's called Intuitive. It's INTUITIVE network. It's like a new Netflix, but guess what? It's free. You can get movies, documentaries, videos.
If it's free, it's for me.
You need to download it. And guess, spearheading that network is the #1's world #1 pro wrestling broadcast, because Jim Beam, you know that liquor, right? They say so.
So many good times on it.
Well, we're going to have more good times on it, trust me. We'll be right back with author D.R. Feeler after this commercial break. You want to send us to the commercial break?
We're going to commercial. See you soon. Come back.
have you tried the new equipment that's been sent?
I'm afraid because it says weed whacker. I'm scared.
Maven, Manscaped. What are you thinking about
Love
Manscaped,
it.
dude?
Love it.
What do you use it for?
Necessity. What don't I use it for? Put it this way. The only hair I have on my entire body is these eyebrows.
Yeah.
That you see. These
Wow.
caterpillars racing to the middle of my nose. That's it.
That is it.
That's all I have. And that's all I want.
That's the
So Manscaped is a
You-
must.
We were talking before the show. There's nothing worse than just hair.
Yeah.
Right? Hair on a woman, hair on a man. It's just bad.
Absolutely. And it's the one thing that the older I get, it starts growing more in unwanted areas.
Absolutely.
I hate it.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Just going to go out there.
Oh, boy.
Go for it.
You're doing a deed.
Yes.
Again, I don't want you to have to admit this because we, as men, we try not to admit this. But if you're going to
Oh,
go
I
do
know
the deed
where-
on a
I
woman,
know
would
where
you
he's
rather
going.
have her be hairless or a little hair, racing stripe, or
Racing stripe.
full retro bush?
Racing
Well, Retro Bush is out.
Yes, thank you.
Retro Bush is out.
Yeah.
I don't mind a small, well manicured landing strip. Every now and then, if it's completely, and I'm talking like baby's ass bald, then I start. Where is that pedophilia line? I don't want to
Wow.
wander into that.
That's
thought
very
of it like
interesting.
that.
I never thought about that. You're a
Wow.
smart dude. Holy shit.
So if the landing strip is clean enough for the plane to go in smoothly, you're cool with that?
If the landing strip has, like I said, well manicured,
Yeah,
you can see both sides. It's not
Like blinking lights on both sides of that
I
landing?
just don't. I don't want. I don't want the shrubbery going off into unwanted areas on that as well.
Gotcha. Oh,
Yeah,
look
but
what you found. Ooh.
I got to be all honest though. Hey, the older I get though, I don't think I can be as
I found it! I found
Have
it!
you ever gone down there and she slowly brings down the underwear? Then
What is
retro? Just,
Absolutely.
You're like, whoa!
Wow,
Yeah,
like,
I'm 46,
like it
of
pops
course.
out?
Do you like walk out or what do you do?
No, I muster through. I muster up the courage to get
He's
through.
a trooper.
Yeah.
He's a trooper. Gotta give him an A.
Yeah, not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah,
There you
no,
go.
I hear you.
There you
Listen,
go.
I couldn't
Super
say.
Bush.
I couldn't say. Well, if you have the same beliefs as Maven, does Manscaped could help you?
Absolutely.
The weed whacker.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I may have to, go in a room, close the door, and hang out with the weed whacker for a little while.
Man, I think you're a retro guy, aren't you?
I like 70s adult films, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
But
only
with that,
Ron
we're going to take a
Jeremy,
quick
Batman.
commercial break, and we'll be
Anyway.
back with this wrestling icon, Maven.
We will see you in a drop kick second.
Drop. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, straight out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island. Before we get to our special guest, I want to just keep everybody updated on Jimmy's travels as he's on his way to Florida. He left last night, I believe, about 8 o'clock at night. Where does he look like he's at, Abe, right now? Do we have a tracker on him?
Looks like he's pretty far in the wrong direction, I'll say that.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. Well, I guess Jimmy's not going to find his love for a little bit. Jimmy, if you can hear me and you're watching the show, you better turn around. You're going in the wrong direction, fella.
Hey, but he's coming to Florida where it's the best.
Before you know it, Jimmy will be punching someone in the stands and killing them. I want to welcome author D.R. Feeler. How are you, sir? Thank you for joining. Am I hacking your name yet? Did I destroy it yet? Because I'm known for that.
Yeah, it's Filer, but I appreciate you
Filer.
having me on.
No, I appreciate having you on. And you're on our first show. My partner, Jimmy Pharaoh, has moved to Florida.
Don't worry, you butchered my last name too.
I do no, but that's the way I like to say it, Danielle. But this is Danielle's first show as co-host. She's been kind enough to join us. So you're really on the initial show with Monty and the Petro. You see, doesn't take long. I'll get it.
It used to be Petro to him.
Yeah, well, you could call me something else then. We'll fair it, even it out. So I'm going to call you DR because I just kind of dig that. It's kind of cool.
Sure.
So
Sure,
DR,
kinda
you've
cool.
got
I like that.
you wrote a few books here. Gorp the Grappler, which has been sitting on our table here for a very long time. Son of the Blackbird. The Hangman leaves him hanging. Ambush at the Palace. What made you realize that writing books was something you wanted to do?
You know, I've pretty much always had three interests in my life: music, politics, and writing. And sometimes they cross streams, and other times not. I grew up. I'm 53. I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, where I'm talking to you from now. So this is the Florida show, I guess, tonight. And so I grew up with championship wrestling from Florida and Georgia in the 70s, and that's always just kind of been a backdrop for me, and it's made its way into my fiction now.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
You know, there's nothing like curling up to a good book, right?
No. Tell me about it.
I'm honestly, Dia, what would you recommend me crawling up to when it comes down to my reading material?
Well, I'd recommend starting with Gorp the Grappler. It's a fun, quick, easy read. My hope is that for real fans of the old territory days of wrestling, that it will ring true. You'll recognize. It's a fictionalized version of the Florida territories from the 70s, but that it'll ring true. That it'll sound right to you. That it'll feel like the wrestling that you grew up watching. And the basic story is the idea that first came to me that became this story is there's an alien invasion of Earth. They're going to take over the Earth in a kind of stereotypical Mars Attacks kind of
He doesn't love that.
This one alien, though, he starts listening. They're monitoring our radio and TV and everything. And he starts listening to the wrestling broadcast coming out of Florida. And he doesn't understand our culture because he's an alien. And what he thinks he understands is that the world champion is going to be coming and wrestling and defending his title in Florida, which is close to where his alien invasion force is. And he gets it in his mind that the world champion of wrestling is synonymous with being the world champion of Earth. And he thinks, well, it's got to be a lot easier than this whole invasion that we're going to do if I can just go beat this guy in hand-to-hand combat. And so that's kind of the conceit of the novel, and then it follows his path to become the world champion wrestler. And along the way, he figures out that it doesn't mean what he thought it meant, but he's still into it and still wants to pursue the title. So that's the basic story, and it's a good starting point.
Does that alien eventually become Matt Riddle?
He had to go there, didn't he? He really had to go there.
I had to. Why not?
He is an extraterrestrial. I'm telling you, that man is out of this world.
In many ways than one.
Many ways than one. Good. No, I take that back. Just bad.
It was actually one of the things that I had fun with this story was the idea that, that there's so many kind of oddballs in wrestling that an alien could kind of fit in, and people would just kind of go along with it and accept him as one of the group,
I really love the concept, though. It's really a really good concept. And the one thing that I really found great about it, it didn't have one loquacious in the entire book, so it made it much easier for me to read, which was pretty important.
Yeah,
I love his extended vocabulary right now.
Oh my God, well, it's nothing like the initial show, baby.
When in Rome, or Tampa, Florida. You're actually the odd man out tonight.
I am.
Even your original co-host is on his way to Florida.
Listen, if I could get out of here, I would. Trust me, I've been trying for a long, long time.
I think his books, though, listening to how he's describing them is honestly, especially with what happened with the whole, there are such thing as aliens, good timing.
It is.
I love science fiction. I'm a big science fiction person.
It's funny, given the headlines.
The beyond.
Given the headlines lately, I actually had the thought when I was first working on this book: is science fiction going to be passé by the time it comes out? But
Oh no,
but I
you
think
hit the
we got
nail right on the
time,
head.
Yeah. And
You're
Tampa is
trending.
really, Tampa's the main setting for these books. They cover Florida. They go all over Florida because it's about the Florida territory, but the territory is based in Tampa.
So, are you warming up to me right now? Because you're saying, I'm a Tampa girl now. I love my Tampa.
Yeah, honestly, I think people who are from Tampa, who live there, who are familiar with it, there's things that they'll get a kick out of. I hope, with all the settings. I'm based in Tallahassee. There's a lot of stuff that happens here that that again, I think people familiar with these areas will recognize, particularly from the 70s.
One thing I found interesting also is you mentioned before politics, wrestling, writing, music. You had your own record label?
Yeah, I have. Well, I'm involved in a couple different record labels, actually. One of them is called Panhandle Punk Productions, and I played in punk bands growing up in North Florida in the 80s.
I love punk.
And I've got a partner who really heads up this project, who a few years ago, he kind of went from being a record collector to more of an historian, an archivist, and he really wanted to figure out how to preserve the memory of this stuff. And so in 2018, we put out our first record. It was a compilation of punk bands from Tallahassee from the 80s. We've got 4 records out now that are all representative of that time and place, underground and alternative music from the Florida Panhandle in the 1980s. And we've got a lot of other projects associated with it too. He hosts a website, a Facebook page. We're looking at even maybe doing some museum installations and things like that. So, the coolest thing about it to me has been not just that, people our age who remember it and get and are appreciative of us doing it. That's great. What I've really appreciated is that there is a younger generation, people my kids' age, people in their 20s in college, who are discovering this music for the first time and who didn't know about it and who are really getting into it. There's one of these folks is a college student who became aware of the first record that we put out, and he's actually working now on a documentary about the punk scene from Florida, at that time. So that's one of the projects, and then the other one, Sounds and Voices Media, is the label that I have that both my books and soon music will be coming out on that label as well.
Now, can I ask what bands do you have signed to this label?
Well, the first one, it doesn't operate like a normal record label would, because really the purpose of it is to highlight music that from this older time period. So we're not signing new bands and putting out new music. It's like I said, it's really more of a kind of an effort to preserve this history. And then with my other label, Sounds and Voices, that's mostly going to be at least initially a vehicle for my own music, but I may expand it out at some point. So they operate a little bit differently than a traditional record label would.
DR, I'm going to make an assumption here. I'm assuming you're a Star Trek fan, right?
You got it.
Okay. I have a long argument on the show, and we're only talking about the original series, okay? So we have to stick to the original series. What was the greatest Star Trek episode in the history of Star Trek, according to DR?
In the original series.
The original only.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, the first one that comes to my mind is the pilot, is the Captain Pike episode. That would be a contender for me. The other one would be the Pon farr episode when Spock went back to Vulcan and ended up in the hand-to-hand combat with Kirk.
Okay.
Those are the two that come to my mind.
The argument I've always had with my partner, my favorite episode is the Savage Curtain with Abraham Lincoln. He says it's the worst episode in the history of the show. Where does this Savage Curtain rank with you?
Oh, it's definitely not the worst. That's a great episode. In fact, if I remember correctly, I want to say, and you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say that Harlan Ellison, who's a really famous science fiction writer, wrote that episode. I think it's certainly considered one of the best by many people, and I would definitely be on your side on that one.
Well, you see, thank you. Now you proved my point, right? So now I'm a happy man, right? This has been an ongoing argument forever.
Wait. I remember my favorite episode, but I don't know what it was called. It had like little tiny fur things that were everywhere. What was that? No, I'm dead.
Yeah, that would be. Go ahead,
It was
Theo.
called Trouble with Tribbles.
That was my favorite episode.
Yeah.
See, I can
Yeah.
nerd too. I know this stuff.
Yeah, but Daniela, I got to be honest with you. That's considered one of the worst episodes of all time.
I've done worse things.
Than play with fribbles or whatever they are.
You know, as a kid, the Gorn episode was a biggie for me too.
Oh, of course. Gorn is the one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But again, I got to go back to the Abraham Lincoln one. I mean, that's help me, Spock. One of my favorite lines of all time.
Yeah. That's a great
Daniela, what do you got, buddy?
I'm not talking anymore. 'Cause you just said I had the worst episode. I really did. That was one of my things. My grandfather loved Star Trek. So whenever I would go and spend like the weekend with them or something, he would always put on the old school. Cause I think it was, my generation was, who played Data? What generation was that of Star Trek?
That was Next Generation.
So
That's what
that was my
called.
genre.
Yeah.
That was my genre. But my grandfather loved the old school Star Trek, and the thing that he would always put on right before I went to bed was an episode. And that I remember seeing it because I was like, "Oh, these little fur babies, and like they're everywhere. They're all over the ship." That was the one that stuck out the most to me. I was like, I just want one so bad.
What's amazing to me, DR, is that you could mix these two genres, I think, is lack of a better term, and put them into books. It's pretty amazing.
Would it really be that interesting? Wrestling and aliens, because I feel like he did it. He hit the nail on the head. Like they feel like they go hand in hand.
It's like I said, it really seemed like a pretty natural fit once I thought about it. The part of it is, one of the good pieces of writing advice I got somewhere along the way was, if there's a book that you really want to read and you can't find it, then you should write it. And I guess that's kind of what I did. There's not a lot of great wrestling fiction out there. There's some examples. Chad Dundas wrote a book called Champion of the World that I think is really great. There's some other examples out there, but the only other science fiction wrestling book I have found is by an author named Z. Jeffries, and it's called Pro Wrestling Saves Earth, which is a fun read too. But there's not a lot out there, and so I figured, write what I want to read, and that's what I did.
Growing up in Florida, watching wrestling, what turned you on to wrestling? Who was the first wrestler that you saw that all of a sudden you garnered your interest into wanting to be part of this sport? And we'll call it a sport.
Yeah, Dusty Rhodes is definitely the answer to your question. That was certainly the first wrestler that really captured my imagination. I really had the good fortune, I think, of growing up in the right time and place to, for wrestling, getting to see, Ric Flair, Harley Race, Jack Briscoe. I really enjoyed, by the way, your Barry Windham interview the other night. I don't know if you can see it, but the poster hanging behind me is from a show in Sarasota, I would guess in the late 70s, early 80s, but Barry Windham is the headliner on the show. And then Kendall Windham is actually on the undercard. I don't know if you can see that at the bottom.
Yeah, I could see it. That's an incredible looking poster, too. I loved it. So I'm glad you enjoyed that interview. Barry Windham, one of and being a Northeast guy, he still falls in my top 10 most favorite wrestlers. incredible talent. I really wish he could have done more up here. I understand why he didn't, but yeah, I got to tend to agree with you. Thank you. Rock and wrestling, or let's call it punk and wrestling. Did you ever think about combining your musical interests instead of that rock and wrestling deal in the 80s, doing a punk and wrestling deal? Because obviously you're into the punk rock deal.
Yeah, I've thought about that a little bit. I've got one song that will come out that is tied in with the books, so it kind of goes there on the connection between. I don't know if I'd call the song punk rock, but everything I write musically is pretty stripped down, straightforward rock and roll, if not punk rock, hard rock. But yeah. So I've thought about that for sure.
Again, I want to remind everybody watching the show right now, we've got Gorp the Grappler, the Grappler Chronicles, book number 1, which is then, I believe, followed up by The Son of the Blackbird. Am I correct? Book
That's right.
number 2.
Yep.
Where can we get these books?
Really, anywhere books are sold: Amazon, Google Play, Kobo, Apple, Smashwords. Pretty much anywhere you want to buy a book online, you should be able to find them.
So we're going to hit you with something, DR, with something we call the Pharaoh's final question, but clearly the Pharaoh's not here. So my wonderful co-host is going to ask you a final question. I don't know what she's going to ask you. It's unscripted. She may ask you about what you're drinking. I have no idea. But Daniela, the Pharaoh's final question.
Woo! Honestly, like, especially I'm a music person. I'm sorry I couldn't really hold my weight with the Star Trek. With your music though, and I was listening, do you think you can hear one of your songs? Because I feel like AEW and WWE has what's Rhea Ripley's and them's little blend. Can you see one of your songs, that theme song for those combined wrestling teams, that darker? I know you say it's rock, but rock and punk kind of go hand in hand in a sense. I feel you can one feeds off of the other. Can you see maybe one day one of your bands, one of your babies, getting to that next level of being the theme song on one of these big time groups, these dark lords, these inner beings, so to speak,
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see that. It would be great. There was there's been some great songs used in wrestling, Motorhead songs and other songs like that. I could see that, and hopefully one of the songs that I'm working on now could end up in that category. But that would be great.
Well, again, I want to remind everybody out there, Gorp the Grappler could be bought at Amazon. Just go to Amazon, type in the name, get it. It's an excellent book. It's been sitting on this table for a long time. I read it on the beach last year, and I loved it. And most recently, I've gotten the next 2 books, Son of the Blackbird, which I'll be reading shortly, and then again, Ambush at the Palace. DR, I want to thank you for joining us. Our first initial episode of me and Daniela doing a show together. It's been great meeting you, and you're a pretty impressive human being. Very, very well-rounded, for sure. Much more well-rounded than I am.
You took the words out of my head. You did.
Well, I really, really appreciate you having me on. Like I said, I've enjoyed the show for a while. You guys made the comment when you had Barry Windham on. You talked about when wrestling was really wrestling, and that's what it's about for me. That's really what I love and what I hope I'm kind of bringing out in these books. So, thanks for having me on. I've also noticed that you've had the book on your desk for a long time. Really appreciate that, and all the best with your new co-host.
I appreciate that, and much respect goes out to you. Thank you again for supporting the show. And if I could say this, if your goal was to show your love for those three things that you love the most, music, writing, wrestling, sci-fi, I could tell you, reading this book, you accomplished that mission. Very enjoyable.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
All right. Best of luck. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Daniela, what did you think of that interview? What did you think of DR?
He got me wanting to get a book. I'm gonna get a book.
Well, that's the idea.
I know. I'm not gonna lie.
That's
he got
the
me
idea.
hook, line, and sinker. I'm like, okay, I'll read.
I'll
pick up a book.
I would never think you were a sci-fi person.
Oh my god, I love sci-fi. I do. That's I guess that inner nerd in me. Like I definitely, because the Tom Cruise, all those. I love just knowing that there's something bigger beyond our Earth, and like I don't know. I am into that stuff. I do like it.
I gotta say, knowing you for this time now, it does seem like you really do enjoy your life. Would that be a true statement?
I mean, yeah, of course. But with a lot of people, I feel that when you say, "Are you living a happy life?" I am living my best life because it is my depiction, my book, and I'm writing it.
Wow. Well said. You've been watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling podcast, Monte The Pharaoh. Catch us on the Monte The Pharaoh YouTube page, the Monte The Pharaoh Facebook Live page. Hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor TV, Channel 115 every Tuesday, and Channel 20 every Wednesday. Daniela, you want to give another shot as episode next Thursday? What do you think?
Yes, Captain.
There she is. I want to thank you. We'll see you next week. We love you all. See you next Thursday, 9 p.m. Monty along with the wonderful Daniela Petro. Send us out, Daniela.
Thursday.
Send us out, boss.
See you next Thursday, guys.
I'm having a wonderful time with Monte The Pharaoh, and I'm going to put him in a cross face again, and he's going to go down right now. Yeah. Great job, man. Thank you so much.
There was a big story about your claim that you made a man disappear after an attempted rape on your person as a teenager. Did you realize how public this was going to get with it in police involvement?
No, hell no.
The police should.
This life is tearing me apart. This life is tearing me apart. Remember when I was with you? Love was all we really knew. I saw the beauty in this world. from the start.